I'm digging out for footings for the posts for the porch. I'm going to use 4-inch Schedule 80 steel pipe. I've set up for 3 posts for the porch. The first thing we did out here was we took a measurement off the house. We used a 3-4-5 triangle, actually a 6-8-10 triangle, to square up a corner right here, and there's a post right down, or a metal stake in the ground right there where the 8-foot mark is. It's square out from the house. And then we used the same 6-8-10 triangle down there off the basement to find a corner down there, and then I run a string line down between the stakes, so I had a straight line parallel with the side of the house here. Well, I've got those dug out to hard pan, and I made some boxes for footings for them that I've stuck down in the holes. I've got to finish cleaning out the 3rd hole down there. I've got it dug out to hard pan and just pioneered out, but I didn't know what size the footings and stuff were going to be on it. So now that I've got that done, I can go and finish digging that hole out. And my post will be about 9 feet tall. I'm using a little Kubota excavator there. It's a 08. This is a little teeny mini excavator. It only weighs about 1,000 pounds or so. A few years ago I was digging out the basement to put a floor in there, and it's all hard pan, all hard clay with rock in it, and it's just about as hard as concrete. I was digging it all out by hand, a pick and a shovel and a wheelbarrow. I'd dig out a section about 1 foot deep and about 3 foot square, and then I'd be down for about a few days from my back until I'd recuperate from that, and then I'd dig out another section. Well, my wife felt sorry for me, so when we went south, we found these little excavators, and she made a deal on that one to use. That thing, the tracks on it are extendable or expandable. They go out to the width they are now, but they'll come in to where that thing will fit through a 36-inch wide door. So it was just ideal for working inside in the basement there for digging that out. That little bucket is kind of funny. Digging sand and dirt, I can dig it, or used to be able to dig it, still can in some instances, a lot faster with a shovel than you can with that bucket, and move a lot more dirt a lot faster with a shovel by hand. But when you start digging into the hard ground and stuff, that little thing is pretty amazing. It does a pretty good job, especially in the rocky, hard clay soil and stuff. It scratches in there pretty good. So anyway, it's a pretty nice little machine to use for small jobs, and I've used it here around the place. Like we dug out the basement there for the floor in the basement, and we've done quite a few other little jobs around here. I've hired out a couple times with it to do jobs. We had it inside of the hallway in the high school to dig up to put a new drain for their sewer system in there. And wife uses it in her garden quite a bit. Oh, it's a handy little machine, but anyway, we'll get our money back out of that when we get ready to sell it. But that's working pretty good for digging out these footings here. It actually works better than the other, even though my Komatsu PC30 is not a very big machine. It still takes a bigger bite out of the ground than this little Kubota does. That little trench on there is only about 1 foot wide, or a little wider than 1 foot wide. So we don't disturb near as much ground, and it works just great for doing these small jobs. Well, I've got my box made. There's one of the footings down there. That's the 3rd footing, or form for the footing. It's 2 foot cubed, which is kind of big, but I'll put some sand in the bottom of it, and I don't necessarily have to fill it all the way up, but I wanted to make sure I had a good firm footing for these posts when they go in, because they stick up quite a ways. I got to digging through trying to figure out what to make a form with, and I found some 3/4 inch plywood, but I hate using that because that's good material for other things. And I got to digging, and I found some old OSB sheets that were left over from framing in the roof on the house here. So I was able to use those. They'll work just fine for footings. The OSB will rot when in the ground, but they're going to be buried and left in the ground. But that's okay. The house here, when we dug it out for the foundation on that, I dug it out pretty much oversized. We built up the foundation out of echo blocks They're a styrofoam block, a foam insulated form for concrete, and they worked really good. We got that all in, and then we had a big wide dig out all around the place. So I took slabs off from my sawmill and made a framework for them, and came out 3 feet from the wall and built a crib all the way around the house there with those slabs, and then filled all that in with drain rock all the way down to the bottom of the footings. And there's a drain pipe down at the bottom, and drain rock 3 feet wide all the way around the house, and then backfilled the rest of the ditch out with the clay and stuff that was excavated from the site here. But on this side here, I put 3 posts all the way down, 3 4x6s, and then used that to build a porch onto to get in and out of the house. Well, those things have been there a lot longer than I ever intended. They're just spruce 4x6s. They're still fairly sound, but when I dug down in the ground, they're kind of starting to rot down at the bottom. So it's time to change those things out of there, and that's what we're doing here now. And hopefully, in the not too distant future, I can go ahead and backfill against that rock that I've got in there. I don't have that finished out, but I want to get some of the concrete, they call them economy blocks or ecological blocks or something like that, I'll use to make a retaining wall coming out from the basement wall there, this side of the doors for the basement, come out around, and then I can backfill in there against that drain rock there and bring the grade up to closer to level with the house here. I've got the forms set up in these upper 2 holes, and they're all in there and backfilled around the forms and everything. Well, they're ready to, well, I'm going to put some sand in the bottom of them, pack down, and then they're ready to pour concrete in. This last footing here, I've got it kind of a pilot hole dug out on it. Started, I need to finish it out to size. I didn't know how big I was going to make those footings when I started this, so I just kind of had a rough hole in there in the location. So I've got to finish that hole out. Now, it's supposed to warm up in a couple of days and either snow or rain, so hopefully I'll get these footings all ready and my cement mixer out and stuff and be ready to pour this when it warms up. But for now, we're getting it all ready. So this little machine is ideal for this, except it has one weakness, and that's it has such a narrow footprint on it that it's kind of unstable. It has a lot of weight above the tracks there and just in the body, but when you put a guy on there that's 6 foot tall and 280 pounds, then it's pretty top heavy. It's got a lot of power in those hydraulics, so it pulls pretty hard, though it'll pull itself right over, or if you get it a little bit of a slope or something like that, it'll tip over pretty easy. So that's kind of the weakness of it. Ideally, you'd have this set going straight into this hole so you could balance off the blade in the front and the back instead of sideways like I've got it now. But there's such a slope here, and I've got enough dirt there that maybe I could do that. I don't know, I'll have to see. There's such a slope here that to get the machine level, you really need to run it up and down the slope and put the blade down and dig to the side. So that's kind of what I've been doing, and it's worked out okay. It's just you just go for a ride sometimes on it. I got my 3rd box put in, 3rd form box. I was going to do more, but it's getting dark. It's almost 3 o'clock. It'll be dark here in a few minutes, so it's too late to start another outdoor project here. Well, I guess I'm done with that. I'm gonna scrape that off just a little bit down there around that box. There's a couple of rocks there and stuff, and then I'll put the foam over it so it keeps it from freezing up inside. So now I'll work on the poles tomorrow. I've got those drug out, the poles, the pipe, I've got it drug out. Got 2 20-foot sticks, so I'll have to cut those off to length, and then I'm going to weld some rebar around the bottom of them in kind of a shape around the bottom so that they're welded right to the pipes and gives strength in the rebar in the boxes there in the cement, the concrete. So anyway, I guess that's about all I'm going to do today out here.